Hey, listener. Want to help us out? Leave a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or hit that like button on YouTube. Only takes a second on your end and really helps us out on ours. Otherwise, enjoy the show. You're listening to Cinematic Doctrine. Hey, if you just press play, you're missing out on a 22-minute discussion. This discussion is on an article that came out on Forbes a few weeks ago. We are recording on April 27th. This article came out April 14th, and it's from Rob Salkowitz. The title is Disney Layoffs Hit Marvel Studios Hard. Specifically, we talk about how various sections of Marvel Studios had been hit by the layoffs at Disney, but the one that was most significant for our discussion is the near entire award-winning visual development team at Marvel Studios. That's the quote I'm pulling from the write-up. And that full-time people will largely just be transitioned to contractor status for per project, onto a per project basis. I mean, it's unspoken, right? People losing their jobs and security, that's objectively bad. There isn't really much more to say about that. But we spend time talking about the impact of visual effects on Marvel and whether or not that they've been actually good lately or not, or looking forward into later this year, we're going to get Spider-Man, and then we're going to get Doomsday, which I keep wanting to call it Endgame 2. Doomsday. Yeah, we were like, could the technically financial failure of the television shows have impacted this decision, so on and so forth. If you support on Patreon for $3 a month, you gain access to that discussion. Patreon.com/cinematic doctrine. That is patreon.com/cinematic doctrine for $3 a month. You get access to that discussion and many, many, many others that are exclusive to Patreon supporters. You can press play on most episodes, more than 90% of them that are on the Patreon, and the beginning conversation will be exclusive to you. There's other benefits supporting on Patreon. As you listen to this episode, you'll hear about those here and there. We are here to do a movie discussion on the film Rear Window. First off, this film was submitted and voted on by Patreon supporters to be talked about on the podcast this month. So thank you for that. And if you support on patreon.com/cinematic doctrine and support for $3 a month, you gain access to being able to submit movies you want to hear us talk about, vote on movies you want to hear us talk about, and then possibly see the movie you want us to talk about on the podcast feed, like Rear Window. But movie discussions are very simple. The first two prompts of our discussion will be non-spoilers. We'll just talk about vibes, feelings. What do we think of it? What did it evoke in us? And then the latter two prompts, that transition will be made clear. Those two prompts will be spoilers free. We will be talking everything from the beginning to the film, to the end of the film, to specific characters, this, that, whatever. So if you have not seen Rear Window, you might want to press pause and go check the movie out, although you definitely should. It's like one of the quintessential films of all time. So like you should really check it out. I feel like there's so much to learn about film as a medium for Rear Window.
It's up there with Jaws.
Yeah, like have you heard of a movie called Jaws? Yeah. What about Star Wars? What do you think about Star Wars? Oh man. But for the sake of this episode, Rear Window. And yes, that transition will be made clear. So if you've already seen the movie or you just don't care that much, stick around. We have some cool stuff to talk about. I'm here joined by Kathryn. Hey, Kat, what's up?
Well, just like the shark in Jaws, I just kind of showed up. So,
yeah, there they are.
Yeah, no, I'm not as subtle and suspenseful as Rear Window, but I mean, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, but you're eating kids and turning them into blood geysers in the ocean. That's pretty cool.
Oh no, no, I'm not doing that. I don't have silky smooth skin and perfect teeth. Sorry.
Yeah, and you're like 26 feet long.
Yeah.
Crazy Amazon
Hundreds
woman.
of pounds.
All for me. Wonderful. But enough kinkiness. Let's get into our episode. Voyeuristic indeed. Although this is more audibly voyeuristic, I guess, for you, listener. Yeah, so let me introduce Rear Window and then we'll get into this. So Rear Window, one of the quintessential Hitchcock films. Typically, it's often mentioned alongside Psycho and Vertigo. The premise of the film is that L.B. Jefferies, a man who has a leg injury, is beginning his final week of recovery. And he's more or less sequestered to his apartment, a section of his apartment, because he's in a wheelchair, so he can't really go anywhere. We learn that he's injured through visual cues. We learn that his camera is busted through visual cues, at least one of them. We learn immediately above the busted camera why it happened, because there's this incredible photo of a crashing race car that is like coming right towards the camera frame. So you're like, okay, that's how it happened. And so anyways, he has not much else to do. So when he's there, he's just looking out his rear window, and out behind his property is it's not a cul-de-sac. I don't know what actually the term is.
It's a courtyard.
It's a courtyard. Okay. So it's a courtyard, and to the left, to the right, and ahead of him are other apartment buildings, and he can see into the windows. And he already has kind of been watching these people for a long time. There's the musician, the young songwriter to his right, who has a studio apartment with a beautiful piano where he can hear them playing. There's a woman that he calls Mrs. Lonely Hearts, because she has this routine of just, she continues to fail at pursuing romance and has a lot of sadness to it. There's a dancer that he luridly stares at and for whom she keeps her windows wide open. There's a couple across the way that is bickering and doesn't seem to get along. And then, cutely enough, there's a couple up really high whose bed is out on the fire escape, because it's so hot. Because that's another thing too. It's like a inordinately hot summer, I guess. He also has a woman who's in love with him. They seem to have been going together for a long time, but he isn't quite sure about the relationship, because he does not believe that this woman, played by Grace Kelly, could ever acclimate to his lifestyle, even though she loves him. Her name's Lisa. L.B. Jefferies, I didn't mention, is played by James Stewart. But then, when he's looking across the courtyard, the couple that doesn't seem to be getting along, the wife seems no longer present. And the wife had been bedridden, had been there the whole time. And not only is she gone, but the bed has been kind of rolled up. There's stuff around. Also, L.B. Jefferies, since he has off and on sleep at night, had seen the husband leaving the property multiple times a night. We're talking 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., in and out of the apartment. And so begins this curious thriller about him being like, where did the wife go? And what is this guy up to? But that's enough yapping. I think that sets the groundwork of the characters, the experience of the film, and then the mystery therein of where did this woman go, and is the husband to blame? Let's get into what we thought of the movie. Kathryn, had you ever seen Rear Window, and what did you think of the movie?
I had never seen Rear Window up until this point.
Cool.
I think at this point, the only other Hitchcock film I've seen is The Birds. So it was a treat to get to see something that is considered a classic, considered one of the best films of all time. I think this was really a master class in building suspense. You can feel the heat and the paranoia in the film. I think it does a good job of building the tension and stacking without being too oppressive. There's good cutoffs to or cutaways to like little comedic lines or relationship drama, and really, I feel like the film takes its time to set its characters and to set the stage for the drama that unfolds with the neighbors across the way. I didn't know which neighbor was going to be at the heart of the mystery, so I think that helped me become more invested in the other neighbors too, like the ballerina and Mrs. Lonely Hearts and the piano player. There's like a newlywed couple. There was an old married couple. So I'm just over here looking and I'm like, okay, but when does the drama start?
Yeah.
So I think hearing so many good things about this movie prepared me to go into it with expectation and like a little bit of patience for it.
Yeah. When you mentioned that, like, it sort of takes a while to set itself up, like, as a positive, like, it's taking its time. I know after the film we were chatting and I reflected on the fact that it feels like a film that's two parts, where the first half is very much teaching you about the characters, the character relationships, and the drama, and like the stakes and the cost. And then the second half can carry the entire dramatic and thematic weight of this possible murder mystery, this missing person story. And now that you have all that, whenever the film does cutaways or reaction shots or even like knowing lines of dialogue, you already have all the pieces to understand what's being done because you watch the first half of the film. And it also helps too that like, even though it takes a while for that thriller stuff to start, the film is like very lurid in just the way it stares at people and turns them into television channels. And it's just so you feel interesting things while watching the start of the film amidst all of the drama too. Mm. And yeah, it's really, really interesting how the film does that.
Isn't it kind of meta that as we are watching, he is watching?
Yes.
Right. Okay, yeah,
absolutely.
Whatever. That's the point. That's the point.
Yes, all film is voyeurism. We're all privy to lives that we ought not know, and yet we press play and have control over the stop and the start because we love it. We love knowing what's happening in other people's lives. It's wonderful. It's not all the time, but a lot of the time.
I can't remember it verbatim, but there was a great line talking about how there's a nurse who comes in to check in on Jefferies throughout the week.
Yeah, she's great. She's a really good character.
I think her name's Stella. And she has this really great line where she's like, "Oh, come on. Like, people do all sorts of weird stuff in private. Like you should like it's one of those things where it's like people do a lot of things when they think they're not being watched."
Yes.
Looks insane from the outside. So yeah. And I think this movie did a good job of keeping things realistic. The different people feel like real people with their real lives, but also insofar as we see what Jefferies is seeing, we don't know anything really about these characters outside of these little pieces of information that we're surmising. And the whole time too, I'm like, is he right about what he thinks is happening with the disappearance, or is he just totally off the wall?
The relationship between like what is seen and what is thought is at its maximum with the film and his character.
Yeah, it's grounded. It's very grounded in the way it presents the people. Other than that, like my only other thought was I just thought this movie had killer lines.
Yes. like
I was thinking of other movies that I've seen where like older movies that I've seen where I'm like, man, they just don't write them like they used to.
No.
there's this really great line between Jefferies and his girlfriend, Lisa, where they're talking about the ballerina who lives directly across from him with her windows wide open the whole time.
Yeah.
And Jefferies is like, "Oh, okay, look, she's got like 3 men over at her house tonight after her big performance. She's like a queen bee with her pick of the drones." And Lisa's like, "Well, I'd say she's doing a woman's hardest job, juggling wolves."
Yeah.
Like, that's just great. There's another funny play on words where Jefferies says about the ballerina, "Oh yeah, she's like a eat, drink, and be merry girl." And Stella, the nurse, is like, "Well, okay, but one day she'll end up fat, alcoholic, and miserable." And it took me a second for like everything to sink in, and I'm like, "Oh, that's the opposite of eat, drink, and be merry."
Yeah. Like something I had thought was that just the dialogue is so good because it kind of it forsakes, like, for the films. There was a really great insight Daniel shared on the podcast when talking about To All the Boys I Loved Before, one of our first discussion episodes, where he said the dialogue isn't realistic, but the dialogue is what teenagers believe they sound like. And then as an adult, it's what you thought you sounded like as a teenager. So like it makes it very interesting and engaging to watch because now you're watching these characters have their thoughts put onto into a script. This felt similarly where I don't think people are this clever, where they just are so good at talking. But it really works because each character not only is so good at talking, but talks differently from one another. Like when the detective is brought in, he has a very different way of talking and the type of way he talks about people, talks about events, the implications of things he's kind of orienting towards. Like it's all very different. So it never feels like Joss Whedon, where everybody is kind of him and his humor is all him, which has its place. But like here, it's all separate enough that that it feels really good. And yeah, the amount of times that like I was chuckling or laughing over moments that I feel like most wouldn't necessarily find funny, but I found either audacious because of like the way it's written, like the last one you just read, or yeah, like it's really, really well scripted.
Like another throwaway line, Jefferies is like, okay, Stella, well, while you're up, why don't you get me a sandwich? And then she goes, okay, and I'll spread a little common sense on there when I'm making it. And I'm like, dang, like that's like you said, I don't think most people are that clever with their wordplay in real life, but for a script, it's thoroughly entertaining.
Yeah, and you learn so much about their relationship and their comfortability to nag at each other that way, or as the film would say, discuss. For a film where I would say maybe 60% of the film is dialogue, and actually more like 70%. The other 30 is very much just watching and listening. And some of the dialogue that was probably scripted, you'll never know because it was in apartments across the lot. So you kind of just hear like murmurings. I was almost tempted to put subtitles on to curiously see, like, are there subtitles for this, or will it just say unheard
muffled
dialogue?
Noise.
Because so much of the story is built around what you see and then what you think is happening. And that challenges you as the audience about how you think about other people. That challenges you of how you think about Jeffrey's suggestions of what are taking place. And also, like, something that is never challenged, at least I didn't think so. No, actually, there is a line of dialogue, is when, as they're investigating this, which is just as they're continuing to spy on this man, thinking that, oh, did he do something to his wife? I think there's a point where they're like, why can't we just be happy if she actually is just okay? Why would we why would we be mad that that's the case? Like just because it turns out we were wrong, that she was not maybe killed, like that's actually the better option. But that's the cleverness and the perversion of the film that is challenging you in the audience. Hey, don't forget, there's a lot of fun content missing from this episode because you're not listening on Patreon. Head over to patreon.com/cinematic doctrine and support for $3 a month to gain access to uncut episodes with upwards of 40 minutes of bonus content each. You'll thank me later. For me, like, I loved it. I really enjoyed watching it. This is the second time I watched it, but I have not watched this since elementary. And unlike many of the kids' films that I recall being like, did I watch this? Can't figure out. I don't know. This one I have known I've seen. It's one that only moments do I remember, but I distinctly remember liking it, and now I appreciate it in ways that obviously an elementary school kid could not. Like, now I'm an adult who better understands my own brain, one's own desires, human relationships, so on and so forth. So also, like, it's just cool to watch a movie where, like, it's not just one of the great Hollywood films, but like one of the great, like, successes of filmmaking, where Hollywood, the filmmaking work, the medium's unique and intricate attributes, all of these things are like at their maximum in the film, where even like diegetic music is the primary form of music. I would say only in the introduction and maybe one moment towards the end is there music that is from the film, that is scored in, whereas everything else is diegetic. And even then, it's all distorted in ways that make it just feel so good to listen to. So yeah, everything is, all cylinders are running perfectly here. Yeah, we had talked about the dialogue, and then I definitely wanted to mention this, but we just finished watching The Fly, rewatching that at least I did a few weeks ago, and stepped away reminded that I loved Brundle and Ronnie's relationship. I think it's great. I think it adds so much more of the joy and tragedy to that film. This also, I really liked the relationship between L.B. Jefferies and Lisa Fremont. Mm-hmm. I found it very charismatic. I found their dynamic challenging because Jefferies is being a baby, but I also understand that he currently feels the most limited he's ever been, whereas typically he's been out literally across the world getting photos, seeing people, and she just lives a very different life, and he isn't sure that's possible for her. yes, he's being juvenile about it, but still, like, that's good drama to me. And yeah, but they also have these moments where they're so intimately close to each other that it's just kind of wonderful. And so, yeah, I really like their romance. I don't know if you felt that, but I did.
Even when they're arguing, I'm like, this feels realistic.
This feels like people who know that sometimes you just don't get along with the people you love, and you'll still come back together. Yeah. Like, I think the end of her first argument is like, maybe you'll never see me again, or at least until tomorrow night. Whatever. It's like, great.
Yeah, she was like, goodbye. And he's like, yeah, don't you mean good night?
Yeah. It's like, after he said these things that are ostensibly very hurtful. Like, yeah. And then he's like, what do you mean goodbye?
He's like, I don't think you could ever change. I don't like, and she's over here just waiting for him to give her the ring.
And she's being very patient. We get reaction shots of her just like, none of the slights go past her. She hears all of them.
I mean, she's a smart and successful woman on her own rights too.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's so yeah, I loved it. I think
it's funny.
their romance is endearing. Where the relationship goes is exciting. And then their romance, I think, is also very, very sweet. So if you're like me and you're a sappy guy who also likes a thriller and some lurid thriller stuff, then you're gonna enjoy this. But what did the movie evoke in you?
Wow, we're gonna use the word again. Voyeurism.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's the main thing. For me, one of the things that I walked away from this movie thinking about and reflecting on is this idea is to merely look into another person's life to truly know them. There's this monologue by the upstairs neighbor, the older married couple who are presumably happy and have a little dog. But there's this monologue by the wife about 3/4 of the way through the film where she wonders who could have done something horrible that happened. Mm-hmm. And she addresses all of her neighbors in that moment. Outside of that, like, we barely have any interaction between the different people living in this apartment block until the very, very end of the film. I thought it was interesting that, like, this couple that we hardly focus on at all throughout the film, one of them then comes out to kind of deliver this speech to everybody about, like, what it means to know each other and be decent neighbors to each other. Mm-hmm. And then specifically focusing so hard on L.B. Jefferies' life as he's the lens from which we see our entire film. Mm-hmm. It's clear that he's just taking a 7-week sabbatical really roughly.
Yes. Yes.
Really roughly. He has hours and hours alone outside of, like, maybe the hour that Stella the nurse comes to visit him and the occasions when Lisa comes over to visit. There is this kinship almost between the viewer and Jefferies, because what else is there for him to do? Somebody who's made his life by capturing these essences of moments of life. What more is there for him to do than to, like, actually try to continue to take mental snapshots of the people around him outside his window? Mm-hmm. And just thinking of the voyeurism a little bit further, you can ponder and reflect along with watching the film or after watching the film. Is it right to make these rush judgments about people that we see based on merely what we externally see? Like, Jefferies doesn't really have a conversation with his neighbors.
No.
Like, he doesn't really know them. He has these weird nicknames for them. The only reason he knows the Thorwald's name is because somebody went across the street and got the name for him. Mm-hmm. I think Rear Window is an interesting film because Jefferies is seeing these people in some of their most private moments, but he doesn't really know them.
It's like a false intimacy he has with them, where it's not even that it's necessarily constructed because these people don't know they're being followed or watched or anything, but he has to fill in so many blanks because these people aren't given the opportunities to do so. And it just so happens, like, that the things he observes become disturbing enough that he's, like, locked in. Like, I have to know what happened. Like, is this really taking place? For me, like, with that voyeurism thing, I mean, the only thing I similarly was like, what did it evoke? And I just thought of the film as, like, this one big meditation on perverse curiosity, which is voyeurism. like how that comes from this insatiable desire for knowledge that we have. Yeah, what do you think about that insatiable desire for knowledge? Where do you think it comes from?
I think a couple things about that desire for knowledge. I think one of the driving factors behind wanting to know more about things that maybe we have no business knowing about is because knowledge is a way of kind of satiating and avoiding fear. If you know something, like, you're less inclined to be afraid of it. It's why kids in the middle of the night are like, turn on the closet light so that I can see and make sure that there's not a monster in there. So I think there's like a part of that where it's like the satiation of fear. Part of it is the curiosity of, I think, just the way that we're designed as creatures. You know, we want to know more. We want to understand. We want to, like, there's something explorational in it, but also like a comfort to be found in knowing things. And I think specifically too in knowing people, there's still that like monkey brain part of us that's like, okay, well, if I know that this person's like a safe person to be around, then I'm good. But what if they're not? So I think like a lot of it is like the anxiety and like the curiosity, the exploration, the desire for closeness, the desire for safety.
I was thinking too about, like, I don't know if this is like an early childhood development thing. I guess you could speak to it, but like, I know there's that stage, the touching stage, where you just start touching everything. And you have parents who are like, stop touching things when we go shopping. But it's like, no, they are literally at a stage where their brain is like, oh, I can touch things and I'm encoding the sensation that comes from that, or the sounds that I produce in moving things, because physics exists. And so things become just more complicated the older you get, where you start to better understand the relation of physics and your existence therein, that I don't think that necessarily even really goes away. I think it just becomes like, you learn what's safe to touch and what's not safe to touch. A glass of water you can pick up and you can drink from, but a fire pit you shouldn't put your hand in. Like, those things you just don't know until you've either experienced it or you learn from someone who knows. So when it comes to like information collection or the desire for knowledge, I think that's very similar. Because like I've mentioned on the podcast before, I think in the Exit 8 episode, I mentioned in that episode that there have been things I've literally seen with my eyes that have made me upset, like to my core sick. And I've even sometimes, like, we'll go out to coffee and you'll be like, how you doing? And I'm like, well, I saw something that just made me very sad, like deeply sad. And it wasn't because of the story behind it or this. It would literally just be the visual of it was deeply upsetting. Someone might go, I mean, it's the Tyler, the Creator tweet from 15 years ago, I guess now. Like, oh, like someone's cyberbullying you. Haha, why don't you just close your laptop? Haha, just close your eyes. like there's something about how we engage the world around us that we desire to be a part of it. But the joke being made there is like, but you're on the internet, so you could just leave, right? And here in this case, it's like, it isn't playing with so much like he's watching things that are harmful. I mean, actually, probably a movie that better fits that is Faces of Death, the remake in theaters right now. But if what L.B. Jefferies thinks is true about this neighbor, he is seriously putting himself in danger. But he still keeps finding himself drawn to like find out more and more and more. Not real, like, and there's points where like Lisa is like sent on a quote unquote mission to like go do something, or she chooses to do something. And like, it's really risky, because if what they think is true about this man, then he is a very dangerous man and he's like freaking out about it. So it's interesting. And I think Hitchcock very clearly knows that. And that's why he's toying with us while we're watching. And he's doing so much to kind of be like, you know, you want to see what happens, but you might not like what you see.
Yeah. And I think that this film does a good job of coupling the external voyeurism of L.B. Jefferies being like, what's going on with the neighbor? And everybody slowly becoming invested in what's going on with the neighbor.
So funny. Just sidebar, but I thought it was so funny how every character becomes like, they they're like, Jeffrey, you're just being a goofball. You're being ridiculous. And then something
Mm-hmm.
happens, and then they're like, you're right, Jeffrey. Like you're everything you've said is true, and I've put my bets on Kalshi right now. like it's crazy the twist that takes place where everyone just believes him. It's so funny. Which is great, right? The power of suggestion and feeding information.
Well, and then the other people start like theorizing about what's going on and what the neighbor's really doing.
Yeah, I mean, even the detective at some point, he doesn't say this line exactly, but it's something like you found a solution. You're trying to find a problem for a solution you already have, or something like that. You're working backwards, and everyone starts doing it. It's so funny.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the drama that's found in that is coupled really nicely with like the internal drama of Jeffrey's not wanting to let like a woman peer into his life and share his life with him.
Because he's already decided the end result, which is you won't be able to handle it, so I don't want to do it now, which is the same thing he's doing across the lot.
Which is silly, and it's also like, that's not how relationships work.
No.
I know I had said after we watched the film, it was surprising to me that they have this argument, and he is telling her what she is going to do, and what he is like, he's basically saying, you can't. And then she's like, okay, goodbye. And then he's like, but.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I think, I mean, just to get serious here, it can be challenging to know and to be known by people. It requires this vulnerability, this intimacy. It's even difficult to know ourselves sometimes. Just thinking too, like, of scripture, there are so many times where there are verses about like how the Lord knows us entirely. And it's like, okay, but like, can I say that about literally anybody else in my life?
Or even yourself, if you think about it. Yeah.
And not even myself. Right. And so, you know, if we can't even dig that deeply into ourselves, then what hope do we really have to share that with others? And I think that Rear Window is kind of this example of, we try to do that. We try to hold space for ourselves and for others to be the full versions of who we are. But across the 2-hour runtime, it takes a very long time, and it takes a lot of exploration to kind of get to that place where we start to see people for who they really are instead of who we may have like assumed them to be.
Sheriff, we got a lot to talk about.
Welcome to Twin Peaks. I'm your Twin Peaks veteran, Special Agent Matt Hanna.
And I'm your first-time viewer, Sheriff Hannah.
And each week, we're visiting David Lynch and Mark Frost's Twin Peaks on our new show, Welcome to Twin Peaks, a Twin Peaks rewatch podcast.
Entering the town of Twin Peaks.
We're talking dreams, damn fine coffee.
A damn fine cup of coffee.
Back we're talking mysteries.
And asking the important questions like, who really killed Laura Palmer? Are the owls what they seem? And why does this town feel like a nightmare you don't want to wake up from?
It is happening again.
Whether you're a longtime Twin Peaks resident or stepping into the Black Lodge for the very first time, Welcome to Twin Peaks is your guide through the woods.
What kind of fantastic trees have you got growing around here?
New episodes every week wherever you get podcasts.
And be sure to follow our socials at Welcome to Twin Peaks Podcast for schedules and opportunities to call and write into the show.
I'm gonna turn it upside down!
The mysteries are dense and the secrets are dark.
We'll see you in Twin Peaks with a fresh cup of coffee.
Why don't we get into our spoiler half of the show so we can be a little more specific? So if you have not seen the movie, I mean, fix that. You got to watch it. It's really good. I mean, your local library absolutely has a copy of Rear Window.
Whoa.
So just
You're going to bat for the library. Finally, you're converted.
I was checking the Just Watch to see where it was streaming, and I don't think it was anywhere at the time. It was like only rentable, but it's like, yeah, you could just find a Blu-ray copy probably at your library. So check it out. We're getting into spoilers, though. We're going to be very specific with spoilers, and in typical Hitchcock fashion, you do not want to know them when you get into the movie. So, yeah, first prompt, recurring motifs, prominent significant moments, and or characters. What do you have, Kathryn?
Well, for recurring motifs, themes, the thing that I really wanted to highlight is the way that perspectives and framing are used throughout the film, not only from like seeing Jeffrey's limited perspective and the perspective of Stella and Lisa as they become more invested in the criminal activity happening across the way, but the framing of the set itself. There's just so many excellent examples of how the sets of windows for each of the neighbors are used to kind of say something about the person who lives within that apartment, or to enhance the drama of things going on within the apartment. I think like the most simple one is the ballerina. The fact that she lives in this studio apartment that looks more like a fishbowl. She's on display full time, both like on the ballet stage and in her own home. But I think one of the best examples that I had noticed was the way that we have this visual reminder of the schism between Mr. and Mrs. Thorwald, because the way their apartment is laid out, it is this long rectangular set of 3 different windows: the kitchen, the living room, the bedroom. And you kind of see a little bit into a 4th window, which is the staircase that leads out of the house, or the stairwell. But we get this great visual picture of Mrs. Thorwald all the way on the right-hand side in the bedroom, and Mr. Thorwald is in the other 3 rooms. So he's constantly in and out of the house. And she's stuck in bed complaining and nagging him. And it sounds like she is like actually ill, but also she's like going in and out and like complaining at him throughout his day. I just like the way that the framing of that set is, because we have this harsh dividing line between the bedroom window and the living room window. And so there's this harsh dividing line of Mrs. Thorwald and Mr. Thorwald.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that as he's going throughout the set, he's constantly heading into that stairwell. So it's like, yeah, he's a traveling salesman or whatever, but also like he doesn't want to be home. And she's mad that he doesn't want to be home, or like, you know, we're left to guess. But
just like Jefferies.
I really enjoyed the settings there. Another example, downstairs, Miss Lonely Hearts has the same sort of setup as them, but we get to see her bedroom, her living room, her kitchen. And there's this bad date that she goes on that plays out like a tableau across the 3 different sectors, kind of, where we see her in the bedroom getting ready. And then she leaves, and then she comes back later. We see her in the kitchen with her date. It looks like it's been a good date, so she pours him a drink. And then they go into the living room, and it looks like, oh, well, maybe we're going to have some intimate time here together and whatever. So they start to close the blinds, but the blinds aren't entirely closed. And we see that her lover is like making unwanted advances that she is not comfortable with. And she kicks him out. And the next scene of the drama is going into the kitchen and into the hallway. Like, so I really loved how intentional the design was, just inside and out.
Yeah, I mean, even on perspectives and framings, talking with specifically Lonely Hearts, I chuckled initially because I sort of thought it was like, oh, we'll get this reveal that she desires romance, but also it turns out maybe her romance is a little silly and maybe a little aggressive in private, and so it becomes this like, good for her moment. So I remember initially chuckling, and then it clicks like, he's being very aggressive and she is not safe. So it becomes deeply sad. But like, I think that's like precise, not that that's perhaps intended from Hitchcock to me as the audience, but the fact that happened, I'm sure would make him happy. That like, I don't have all the information, just like Jefferies, and I'm presuming so much just in quick moments with very little information. And I'm totally wrong. and yeah, she falls apart. The next time we see her, she's pouring out medication because she's going to, end herself. And that doesn't happen. Yeah. Thankfully, she gets a very sweet ending. Yeah, the whole film, you have to wrestle with how you are not just being shown information because it's a movie, but also like how you yourself as an individual are going to choose to encode it. But that's exactly what the movie's doing, is it just gives you a little bit and you move on with it. But you got to keep watching because you want to know more. And
I mean,
it's crazy.
The blinds are drawn on the night that Mrs. Thorwald disappears.
Yeah.
And so we see a man in a long trench coat with a hat walking in and out of the home multiple times. And immediately I was like, there's no way that's the husband. That's got to be some other guy that did something.
Right, because we really don't see the face.
Right?
So
like I'm starting to
yeah.
Oh, gosh. Yeah,
it's great.
It tells
it's
you
so
just
good.
enough. It tells you just
so
enough when
good.
you need it.
You may not know this, but the easiest way you can show your support for Cinematic Doctrine is to rate and review the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen. So press pause and share your thoughts. We'd love to hear what you have to say. And then press play again so you can hear the rest of the show.
For me, I just thought L.B. Jefferies was, I mean, we've already talked a bit about it, but the fact that his character is this man obsessed with photography and looking at others and traveling and being in all these worlds and not even necessarily running from his own life. We don't have any tragic individual backstory, which a modern movie would run with. There isn't any meditation on grief like any post 2020 movie is going to do. This is just a guy who that's just what he does. And but interestingly, as we stated before, he doesn't really believe anyone could do the same into his life, where no one could really ever get married to him and travel with him or be there with him. And so one of his pervading things is that people don't change. And what's neat then by the film is literally not just that everybody changes, but all of the information that Jefferies had, except for the one that mattered most, which is that the guy killed his wife. All the information has basically changed, or situations have changed for these people. We watch as the pianist is trying to build this, I guess, concert music or whatever, and it doesn't do well. So he gets drunk and then seems like he's going to hang it up. But then he gets a party going and everyone loves the music. At one point, Mrs. Lonely Hearts, who has just had the bad date, is about to end their life. But before they swallow a bunch of pills and drink water to take it down, a song plays and she finds it so beautiful that she doesn't take the pills. And we then later find that now they're together. And there's a really quite cute back and forth where she essentially just asserts he doesn't even know how wonderful the music, how important his music is to her. The ballerina, who can have any man she wants, has a short king, which is great.
Who comes back from
the war. It's just great. It's so wonderful. Very precious. Yeah, everyone's got something that either new information changes the entire dynamic, or new things have just developed that have helped their character change. And so the same is true then for Jefferies. And gosh, I just keep forgetting her name every time, but Lisa. I have to keep scrolling down on IMDb, and then the screen's too bright, and so I scroll back up.
Yeah, I think to your point, I appreciated that we kind of get posed this question, is all that you see really all that you get with people? And it's not.
No, not at all. Yeah.
I mean, Miss Lonely Hearts takes the risk to finally go over and talk to the handsome piano player and tell him how much his music means to her. We haven't really talked about the elderly neighbor who lives in one of the downstairs apartments.
I think she's credited as Mrs. Hearing Aid.
Mrs. Hearing Aid. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, Miss Hearing Aid.
Miss Hearing Aid. That's funny.
You can't even see it if she has one. At least I couldn't.
You can't. But so she's funny. Presumably retired. She's making art in her spare time.
So
she has this whole rich inner life that we never know anything about because Jefferies just doesn't bother to really pay attention to her.
And she also falls asleep during the day out in the sun.
She just naps in the middle of the day and makes her pottery at night.
Goals.
And I think really, and maybe this is a good transition to the ending.
Go for it.
People can change. Jefferies says it is impossible, but people do. Because, ultimately at the end of the film, Lisa shows that she's capable of being the kind of practical, adventurous woman that Jefferies wants her to be.
Yes.
And then we also kind of get this sweet resolution where Jefferies also shows that he can be content with resting and slowing down, enjoying domestic life a little bit. and neither of them really have to fully sacrifice themselves because Lisa still likes her fashion stuff. And we know that Jefferies wants to go back to shooting his photos, but they can change and integrate with one another as they actually come to know each other. Like,
Yes.
not just what their assumptions of what the other person is, but like they actually really get to know each other and like what their strengths are, what their needs are, what their weaknesses are. Yeah, I think that kind of puts us like in a good position for the ending.
Yeah, so it ends up being true, getting into the ending. It ends up being true. The man did, in fact, kill his wife. And there's this confrontation where Lisa ends up getting caught in Thorwald's house when Thorwald shows up, but it's right when the police were called. And so Lisa is safe, but has the wedding ring, which they surmise like no wife would ever travel without their wedding ring, unless for other reasons or because she literally has been killed. Through a series of events, though, this causes Mr. Thorwald to look across the apartment, the courtyard, and see that Jefferies is the one that's been contacting him and like. There have been things that have happened that I'm just not mentioning because this is not a party pleaser episode. And so by the end, it comes to this point where Mr. Thorwald comes upstairs. It's just a great, tense, thrilling moment. Gosh, it's so thick. Like, it's so thick with intensity. And he ends up coming inside, and you get these great reverse shot of the two characters basically shrouded in shadow, except for Mr. Thorwald's eyes, and then like the outline of Jefferies in the wheelchair. And through this interaction between the two, Jefferies screams out and the police hear, so they come running over. Thorwald grabs Jefferies to throw him out the window. And as he collapses, this is the shot I remembered as a kid. He's falling down, but some police are able to get underneath him to break his fall. He still gets injured. And then Mr. Thorwald gets taken into custody. And then the film really wraps up quick because it knows it's over. Mm-hmm. It knows it's done. Mr. Thorwald confesses. Jefferies, both of his legs now are busted, which is very funny. And we get a shot of both his legs are busted, but he's still resting comfortably in his apartment. Mm-hmm. It's not as hot as it was before. And then we pan away to see that Lisa is resting in his bed, reading a magazine about where they may travel. But then she sees he's asleep. So she puts the magazine down and picks up a fashion magazine, to which we hit credits. Yeah, it's a great ending where everything kind of comes together really, really strongly. It's just a stunning film to watch. And if you're listening to a movie podcast that talks about films of all different kinds like we do, and you have not seen Rear Window, then you will find this to be an extremely wonderful and fulfilling experience, because it just does all the things that good films do. And it's very rewarding. It's an absurd thing to say at the end of the film discussion here, where I've spoiled the ending, but I still think you'll have so much to soak in and enjoy, as is the nature of good art. But yeah, what do you think of the ending?
I mean, you weren't downplaying it when you were talking about the confrontation between Jefferies and Mr. Thorwald.
He's a big guy.
He's a big guy. He's a tall guy.
He's intimidating.
The way that the apartment is designed, there's a staircase leading up and out of Jefferies' apartment.
Yeah, yes, so he's so tall.
There's not, well, so Thorwald looks gigantic. Also, Jefferies being in the wheelchair cannot comfortably get to the door to even lock it. No. I don't think he locks it at all, because Lisa just comes in all the time.
Yeah, so it's just unlocked.
Like, it's just unlocked. He doesn't really have a way of like defending himself. And then the framing again, as Thorwald is so high above him. So it's just super intimidating. But I think that the ending with that confrontation is so frightful, because Jefferies isn't dealing with the essence or the idea or the image he's conjured up of this person. He actually has to deal with a real person face to face.
This is all real. Yes, it's all happening.
And I don't think it's accidental that, Thorwald shows up shrouded in darkness, and then his face becomes clearer and clearer and clearer the closer he gets to Jefferies. And I definitely don't think it's an accident that Thorwald wears glasses. So he's looking through his lenses at Jefferies. The watcher is finally becoming the one who's watched and sussed out. So, like, Jefferies has spent all this time looking through the lens, looking through the window at this person. So it's great. We get some beautiful eye lighting on Thorwald too, that just is like, just great.
It is great. Yeah. It is so good. I do think that it's I'd be remiss to not say that the final confrontation gets clunky when Jefferies is like, he has nothing to defend himself with, so he uses his the flash of his camera, which, if people aren't familiar, those things are crazy bright, especially during this era. I don't know how, like, I know they can be they're digital now, and they can again still be insanely bright. They can turn pitch black rooms into looking like the sun is in them, but these things were so bright that they would burn out the second they lit. That's why he has to essentially reload it like a gun every time he does it. And it is clunky because you're like...
Tactical light load.
Yeah, you're like Thorwald, just close the laptop, bro. Just close your eyes. Like, it's literally like you just have to do that and walk forward a little. He's in a wheelchair. You'll make it. like it's silly. But I think that's where a film of this quality has earned enough of its graces and risks to do something like this. And I think that's fine, because there is something about the fact that, like, you had it in your notes that as he gets closer, we get more light on him. And as we have more light on him, we see and learn more about him. Plus, in this interaction, we learn that, like, he's like, what do you want from me? And Jefferies doesn't say anything. He's like, do you want money? Because I don't have any money. I have no money. And I then said to you after the recording, I was like, I wonder if, like, part of why he killed his wife is because he's like, I can't afford this anymore. Like, there's not enough money in the world to do this. And so he's got no money and he's just gonna leave. And that's still wrong and bad. But, like, we're learning more about him that, like, really probably shows how, where he was mentally to have made the decision that he did. But then what's interesting is, as he gets closer, the flash is giving us moments where we see parts of his life, just like the film, where we only see these moments through the window whenever the lights are on and the blinds are open. So yeah, it's a great confrontation. I really like it. I like your last note, though, if you want to share that. I think that the last one in black.
Yeah, I think the last thing that I wanted to leave off with here is, once Jefferies is re-broken both of his legs.
Both of them. So funny.
Yeah, my guy has another 7 weeks of being stuck at home. So he finally sleeps at the end. His eyes are resting. The whole movie he's been watching and waiting, outside of, like, some short naps here and there.
Yeah, trying to stay awake. He does not want to go to sleep.
Yeah, he's not wanting to go to sleep. He's having a hard time going to sleep, but, like, he's just dead asleep at the end of the movie. And this is saying something, because this guy was making out with his girlfriend with his eyes wide open, looking out the window. Unforgivable, shameful.
You don't make out with me with your eyes open?
No, I don't. You would have seen me.
Sometimes my eyes are open. Sometimes they're closed. I don't know. It just really depends.
But to the point here, like, Jefferies is able to be present. Like, in his body, in his domestic life with Lisa, he's able to be present and to finally, like, rest and be okay with that. And I just think that's good character development.
He's also facing away from the window. He's facing away from the window. He's asleep, so he doesn't mind missing something, really. He's not trying to capture something to keep it forever, like a photo kind of does. Yeah, it's a sweet way to end the film in that kind of way. So, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I like the characters a lot. I like the pacing of the film. I think it's darkly funny. I mean, moments where it's where these people are, at the time, because you don't know if it's true or not, they're presuming awful things about this man. And they're only lucky that they were right. All right. Well, I guess, I don't know. That's it. That's all I got. Any final thoughts?
That's all, folks.
Enjoying this episode? Grab that share link and tell your friends. Word of mouth is the most effective way for a podcast to reach new listeners, so don't be shy. Share the episode wherever you can.
Yeah, let's get into recommendations and get out of here. So what did Kathryn was very proud of themselves for telling me they finally got a recommendation 2 minutes before us starting to record. So, Kathryn, what do you recommend for this podcast?
Cat's out of the bag. My recommendation is His Girl Friday by director Howard Hawks. Criminally, I have been missing out on a lot of what are considered classic movies, so watching Rear Window was a treat. His Girl Friday is also a treat, just in a different package, as it's a very quick-paced screwball comedy that wastes absolutely no time in its setup and its payoff. And what about you?
I am going to recommend Loner. So Loner is a in-world found footage movie. What a surprise. This is a movie that is free to stream on Found TV. It's actually an exclusive there. So Loner is this film about a guy who wins an off-the-grid solo glamping trip. He heads out with the intent to film this time while he's there to make a YouTube vlog series about the experience, but it's his first time. But when he gets there, someone or something sinister is afoot, and he finds that he can't leave. And he's all alone. It's just him. Now, someone on Letterboxd wrote this as kind of a mix of The Office and The Blair Witch Project. I think that's crazy, although I'm going to use that as sort of a foundation to say it's actually more like Deadstream and Butterfly Kisses put together, which is kind of silly to say, but it's kind of an understated version of both. It's not as scary as either of them, but it is closer to Butterfly Kisses dramatically, where it's got some comfortable criticism of its protagonist. Yeah, not necessarily scary, not for me at least, but it has good tension during a few moments, and it's effortlessly and evenly curious. Like, it is one where as you're watching it, you want to keep watching it, and it carries that just fine. I think it's well shot. It offers a lot of beautiful above average forest composition and lighting. Like, it just looks good. You can actually check screenshots of it on the Syndoc Instagram. I put some there. And the film is very much about patriarchy, kind of. Like, it's specifically about one man's pursuit of power over as a means of self-identifying or self-validating one's own reason for existing. So I think some people might actually connect with the film emotionally. I found it a little irritating, but I don't think that's a negative of the experience, because I think part of watching it is you're supposed to find the main character a bit pathetic and difficult, but also have compassion for him. It's good, not great for me, but it has greatness within it, and a lot of people that I respect their opinions for films, they've really enjoyed it, and so definitely check it out. Again, streamable free on Found TV. Definitely check it out.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Cinematic Doctrine. If you enjoyed the episode, give us 5 stars on whatever podcast app you're using. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe, too. We put out stuff, like, all the time. If you're listening on YouTube, hit that thumbs up and leave a comment. It helps the algorithm share our stuff around, and I see them, so I usually reply. Also, if you support on Patreon, you could have totally heard this episode early. There's a bunch of other benefits to supporting on Patreon, so head on over to patreon.com/cinematic doctrine to learn more. Speaking of Patreon, thank you so much to our Art House Theater tier Patreon supporters. Thanks, Thomas, Shirley-Ann, Mom, and Dad. Your support is greatly appreciated. Until next time, stay cool.
Sheriff, we got a lot to talk about.
Welcome to Twin Peaks. I'm your Twin Peaks veteran, Special Agent Matt Hanna.
And I'm your first-time viewer, Sheriff Hannah.
And each week, we're visiting David Lynch and Mark Frost's Twin Peaks on our new show, Welcome to Twin Peaks, a Twin Peaks rewatch podcast.
Entering the town of Twin Peaks.
We're talking dreams, damn fine coffee.
A damn fine cup of coffee.
Back we're talking mysteries.
And asking the important questions like, who really killed Laura Palmer? Are the owls what they seem? And why does this town feel like a nightmare you don't want to wake up from?
It is happening again.
Whether you're a longtime Twin Peaks resident or stepping into the Black Lodge for the very first time, Welcome to Twin Peaks is your guide through the woods.
What kind of fantastic trees have you got growing around here?
New episodes every week wherever you get podcasts.
And be sure to follow our socials at Welcome to Twin Peaks Podcast for schedules and opportunities to call and write into the show.
I'm gonna turn it upside down!
The mysteries are dense and the secrets are dark.
We'll see you in Twin Peaks with a fresh cup of coffee.